I discovered I could hear my roommate's texts through our apartment walls, so I slowly destroyed her relationship with strategic information, not with confrontation, something far more devastating. Emma moved in 6 months ago, pretty stunning, bubbly, and constantly attached to her phone. The walls in our apartment were paper thin, and one night I realized I could hear every word when she read her texts aloud to herself, a habit she didn't know I was aware of. At first I tried to ignore it until I heard my name. Ugh, living with Jen is a nightmare. She's so pathetic, Perto literally has no friends and follows me around like a lost puppy. Pretty sure she wears my clothes when I am not home too. I lay frozen in bed, my chest tight with humiliation. I'd thought we were becoming friends. I'd confided in her about my social anxiety, how hard it was making connections after my mom died last year. The next morning Emma bounced into the kitchen asking if I wanted to join her brunch plans, the same friends she told I was too awkward to bring around. That's when I realized Emma had two faces and I had accidentally discovered her weakness. Her boyfriend Mike was her entire world. She constantly read their texts aloud, pairs sweet nothings that made me roll my eyes, but sometimes there were arguments, insecurities, things I could use. I started small when I heard Mike was going to a concert. I casually mentioned seeing his ex at the same venue last weekend. Small world, I said, watching Emma's smile falter. When Emma read aloud about his work dinner, I mentioned passing his office at lunch. Weird, I could have sworn I saw him at that new Kashani across town with some blonde. I never accused, just planted seeds. The real opportunity came when I heard them fighting about a girl named Cassie who kept liking his photos. Emma was suspicious. Mike insisted she was just a coworker. The next day I left my phone open on the counter to a fake Instagram profile I'd created. Emma glanced over pairing just as I'd hoped pairing and saw a conversation between me and a Cassie about how Mike had been texting her for weeks. I watched Emma's face drain of color as she quickly looked away, pretending she hadn't seen that night through the wall. I heard her sobbing, screaming at Mike over the phone. He sounded confused, desperate. They broke up 3 days later. Emma spiraled, stopped eating, harder and sick to work, cried herself to sleep while I listened, feeling a twist of both satisfaction and guilt. 2 weeks later, she asked if we could talk, spitting on our couch. Eyes swollen, she confessed she'd been reading my journal. Perter, she'd found it while snooping in my room looking for proof I was wearing her clothes. I know you heard everything I said that night, she whispered, and I know what you've been doing. We've both been awful, haven't we? My stomach dropped. I hadn't written in that journal in months. There was nothing in there about her, she'd bluffed, and I'd just given myself away with my expression. Before leaving, she slipped a note under my door. We could have actually been friends if either of us had just been honest. I am sorry for what I said. I hope you find what you are looking for. I still hear her sometimes, paint the echo of her voice reading texts aloud. It just gives you a different kind of emptiness. Maybe we were more alike than either of us wanted to admit.